left side of the aisle, we had to bring in two guys to counter George Will. Chris Hahn, host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast, Jason Nichols, Senior Lecturer at the University of Maryland. All right, we'll go back through those polls, starting with the economy in terms of exactly who approves of President Biden's handling. Actually, we'll start with Afghanistan. Economy here, we'll go to Afghanistan. Only 31% approve of how President Biden got out of Afghanistan. Professor Nichols, who are those 31%?
Well, I think those are the people who look at the fact that we were able to take 120,000 people out of Afghanistan. I'm not one of those 31%. I think it was poorly handled. There's no evidence that the previous administration would have done any better. And I think we did need to get out of Afghanistan. I'm going to go against the legend George Will there. I think it was something that the American people wanted.
Certainly.
People wanted to get out of Afghanistan. They wanted the Afghans to handle their own affairs, whether that is under whichever leadership is there. It's not necessarily our fight or our business, especially if they can't attack the American people. And I think that's what people were most concerned about. That's why we went to Afghanistan. And in that regard, it doesn't seem like those entities that were there before have the ability to actually attack us here on the American homeland anymore. So in that regard, we didn't need to be there. And I think that 31% wanted to be out. And
sort of don't care how they get out. Although if there is an attack on the homeland, I think we all agree that that all changes. Chris, I want to get to you because you've been quite vocal on the issue of the coronavirus. In COVID. The president's numbers on this handling keeps slipping. I'll go back to the question I asked Dr. Ladapo. Progressives, and especially the president, has said keep saying trusting the science. Today he got slapped down by the FDA. Who do we trust? Do we trust the president, Dr. Fauci, the FDA? Who do we listen to?
I think we got to listen to the science. I think the president's numbers are slipping on COVID because a lot of progressives don't think he's doing enough to get the unvaccinated vaccinated. I think we need to start requiring vaccinations for people to get on an airplane. I think we got to start requiring vaccinations for people to be in most public spaces. I don't think the president has the authority to do all of that, but he does have the authority to do it on airplanes, and he can use the power of the purse to encourage states to do it in other cases. And I think progressives want to see him do that. And also, you see these variants surging. You see it in the news. Deaths are increasing. You see states like Idaho and others starting to ration health care. It's scaring a lot of progressives and left-leaning centrists, and that's why his numbers there have fallen.
That's interesting. I didn't think about not doing enough. Jason, I did not hear the answer to my question from Chris, so I'll ask you. Does it hurt the president's credibility when he says booster shots for everybody by September 20th, and then the FDA 3 days ahead of time goes, I don't think so?
No, I really don't think so. I really don't think that it hurts the president's credibility. I think
oh, come on, really?
What it basically says is that we're ready with the resources and we'll try to make it happen. But if the scientists say that we don't need it unless you're over 65.
Jason, he said people need boosters by September 20th. That was their big push. And then the FDA came out and said, never mind.
Yeah, and I think people will breathe a sigh of relief. And I think the president accepts that. I really don't think they're going to hold him responsible for people in the scientific community saying, wait, hold on, we don't necessarily need that. And I think that's a good thing. I think the president should be celebrating that because the more it seems like this is being dictated from the White House, I think it's worse for the president in terms of his political capital. Not saying that he's wrong. I'm just saying that in terms of his political capital, it shouldn't necessarily come directly from the White House.
Political capital is something in scarce supply for the president right now. And Chris, you know better than anybody how valuable that capital would be up on Capitol Hill to try and push through the $3.5 trillion spending package. With approval numbers like this, especially on the economy, 42-52 underwater, that doesn't say much for trying to get Joe Manchin in line, does it?
Look, Democrats have to hang together or they will hang separately on that bill. They got to stop talking about what it costs and start talking about what's in it. The president's approval numbers aren't that bad. In fact, they're 10 points higher than Trump's were at this point. He was still able to get his tax cut through with no Democratic votes. So I think that Democrats understand they've got to get something done. They're going to get this done. Don't let what you're hearing from Joe Manchin deter you. He's going to vote for something. It might not be 3.5 trillion. It might be 3.4 trillion. He's going to vote for it.
We've heard that. Jason, I'll give you the last word real quickly. I've only got about 20 seconds left. Of all of these situations that we outlined at the top of the segment, which one scares you the most that could truly derail the Biden presidency?
Well, I think, Afghanistan is something, particularly with the death of those children by the drone attack. No one likes to see children die. I think that that's going to be something that hurts him. But we've got a long way in this presidency. And a long way actually before midterms. So I think he's going to be in better shape as time goes on.
Yeah, and nobody's going to be talking about Afghanistan when Texas and Mississippi are trying to ban abortion. So get ready for a ruckus midterm.
Yeah, no, well, gives us something to talk about. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.